Hi, my name's Daryl, and here's your Jeep news for April 5th. So in my first news story, of course, this is about the Trump tariffs. Now, I've got good news and I got bad news. I'm not sure if you're a good news first person or a bad news first person, but I'm going to cover the bad news first and then throw out some good news at the end. So how Stellantis is responding, unfortunately, is they're closing two plants, one in Canada and one in Mexico. And because of these plant closures, the plant closures are not permanent. So in Canada, it's for 2 weeks. In Mexico, it's planned for 4 weeks. But unfortunately, because of the plant closures, Stellantis is going to temporarily lay off about 900 workers in the United States. Basically, workers that work at plants, tooling assemblies, engine assembly plants that make parts specifically for the automobiles that are made in these particular plants. And so, yeah, it really kind of sucks that they're going through this right now. I think Stellantis is kind of rethinking their strategy in regards to some of the automobiles made at these plants. And so in the Canada plant, they really make two primary automobiles. They make the Chrysler Pacifica, and they also make the Dodge Daytona EV. Now, the Dodge Daytona EV has been, got off to a really bad start, and it continues, just they can't sell them. Nobody really wants the Dodge Daytona EVs, and so they actually might be rethinking their strategy on the Daytona, but for sure they want to continue the Pacifica, because Pacifica, it's a really, really big seller, and actually minivans in the last quarter just boomed. So Stellantis surely doesn't want to stop manufacturing of that. It's unclear on if they could move the manufacturing of the Pacifica to the United States, but certainly that can't happen very quickly. In the Mexico plant, they build the Jeep Wagoneer S and also the Jeep Compass. Now, the Wagoneer S, same story as the Dodge Daytona EV. It's got off to a bad start and it continues to not sell well. So they're probably rethinking the Wagoneer S strategy as well. I mean, why have import tariffs and deliver a vehicle that really nobody wants? Doesn't make a lot of sense. However, the Compass is a pretty big seller, and so they're going to have to figure out what to do with that. So not great news in regards to the tariffs and kind of I think it's really, of course, it's really worrying the stock market. It went down almost 4,000 points over the last 2 days, and I know consumers are really nervous. There's probably going to be some panic buying going on, maybe even some panic buying on cars, because there was a lot of retail sales in March in anticipation of the upcoming tariffs. Now, one additional bad thing, and this is actually let me go down to the story here. So I talked about a couple of days ago the fact that auto manufacturers were really lobbying the administration to not tariff all of the car parts that go into making automobiles. Because a lot of times, like seat belts, they'll go back and forth across the different borders multiple times, up to 5 or 6 times. Same thing with even building transmissions, because the parts actually come from multiple locations. Nevertheless, it doesn't seem like their efforts to lobby the administration have been fruitful so far. Perhaps with everything that's going on, perhaps the administration will rethink some of this. But right now, the list of parts that are going to be affected by the tariff on foreign parts coming into the United States is, as Motor Trend says, it's long and pervasive, including engines and transmissions, motors, so electric motors, turbochargers, superchargers, batteries, clutches, spark plugs, radiators, axles, bumpers, wheels, tires, steering wheels, seats, airbags, seat belts, windshields, glass, locks, speedometers, air conditioners, and radios. So just about everything. So, oh man, this is if this goes through and it doesn't change, this is going to be an absolute nightmare. All right, so got the bad news out of the way. So now let's get some good news. So Stellantis did announce employee pricing for all. So Ford did this like a day before Stellantis announced it. Stellantis announced this yesterday. Kind of the difference between the way Ford did it and the way Stellantis has done it is Stellantis kept the incentives that they are currently offering. So they give the consumers the the choice of whether or not to use the existing incentives or to use this employee pricing. Basically, with employee pricing, you can probably expect to get about 5% under the invoice price of the vehicle. And so, yeah, that's really good news. And they're not only making it available on 2024 models, but they're also making it available on 2025 models as well. So this is kind of the list of employee pricing that's going to be available in which vehicles it's available on. So, really most of the vehicles. It does exclude the Rubicon 392, so that kind of sucks. In regards to the Ram models, the 2024, even the heavy-duty models are available. They don't say anything about the light duties for 2024, however, but then in 2025, the light duty Ram 1500, except the RHO, are included, and here's all the Dodge products that are included. So, yeah, I mean, if you are in the market for a new car, it's probably a good idea to consider purchasing now. I can't imagine things are going to get all that much better. Pricing is certainly going to go up. Interest rates will probably go up. The availability of cars is going to go down. The cost of used cars are going to go up. So now would probably be a good time to buy. So I'm really hoping over the weekend something happens to change the current trajectory. I don't exactly know what that would be. But man, I've got a lot of Amazon stock, and that's been just totally thrashed. And I'm really worried about my my retirement savings. So it's a really tough time. I'm actually in the market for a new truck, but the truck that I want still isn't available. I want the Ram Charger, and so I'm really worried about that as well. But we got to hang in there. We got to try to stay positive and try to think good thoughts. So this is Daryl with your Jeep News, and I hope to see you in the next one very soon.